This is a video of Jumma game developer. Welcome to this channel. Are you new here? So welcome again. I am Utsav Chakma and I am the creator of this YouTube channel. In this channel, you will get videos, tutorial videos of Godot Game Maker Studio, Unity, Adobe Illustrator, Blender, etc. to teach beginner game development. Jumma game developer uploads videos only for beginners who want to learn game development with those softwares. Godot is the main game engine of this channel, and this video is to a tutorial video about Godot, about scaling game objects inside of it. Don't worry, as always I'll explain everything someone needs to know in here, so anybody will understand this video. Now let me make you guys understand about scaling objects in Godot. Let's start. First, we'll need to think about what object we want to scale. You can actually scale anything about anything in Godot, an icon, and physics object, or anything. The object you want to rotate, you will need to put in viewport, and then click that object on the viewport or in the inspector. Both will do something, that is open an inspector tab, and under that it will show something says we have discussed about this thing and this thing in the later videos. The old viewers would remember that, but if you want to know about these two things, the tutorial videos about these two things are in description. You will know about that in there. And here you can see scale. Under scale there are actually two things. This one is X and another is Y. So what they do, they actually scale up, actually size up the game object into two different axes. The X axis will expand this thing in left and right side. Let's see if this does too, and press enter. Yes, it does. And this Y, what this Y does, this Y will actually expand the, not expand, actually increase the sides in up and down, to up and down. If you do the same thing in here too, it will expand up, actually increase its size up. What you will need to know now is what numbers can you put in here. Any number actually you can put here, even if you use decimals like 1.5. If you don't know how to use decimals, that would be not good for here to use decimals. If you should know about mathematics to understand game development, and if you don't know about decimals, actually I can't explain that. You need to know about mathematics in here to know to develop a game. So let's not waste time here, and let's think that you want to test this game, how will it work. So it will actually work, not do nothing, just show this picture inside of this viewport. Everything you will put inside of this viewport will be visible when you play the game. And how to play that game now without of building an application or external application. You'll not need to do many things, but just if you use this thing, this can also play, but it's a little different. I should discuss in any later videos. I have already discussed a later video about making a top-down car game. There I have discussed about this button, and if you want to watch that video, it's linked to be in description. But let's just play simply only this selected file. If you only want to play the scene you are in, so just click on this button. It will open up and show you everything that is inside of this viewport. You can see in here rectangular viewport, and right now it is doing nothing scaling up or down. Its size is normal, and defaultly what is set in here in these scales x and y are applying here. So what will happen if you scale this up? If you scale this up, it will actually scale this up when you run the game. Even if you use decimals, you don't need to use same numbers in everywhere in both x and y. Put any random number you like, it will run this thing. But what if you want to scale this up with code? Yes, this video is for that, how to scale up an object with code. And let's do it with code. And if you want to scale this thing up without of using these things during playing, so you need to tell Godot in another way to scale this thing up, this icon up. Remember, any kind of node will work on here. If you put a physics object or something like that, or icon like me, so sorry, sprite like me, so it will work if that has something called node 2D. If that node has something called node 2D. Now, to tell Godot how to scale this up without of using this inspector in here, we need to tell it Godot with scripting, something called scripting, and that scripting language's name is Discrete. How that Discrete works, that's quite difficult to explain, but I will then also show you the thing that you'll need. I'm explaining too much because this channel is for beginners, and if I don't explain everything, so beginners will not understand what I am doing or not doing. As this is a beginner friendly YouTube channel, I am explaining this all things, everything that I am doing. Now what, I have same okay icon. Let's change this. Why it is not getting selected? I'll name this scaling script. Sorry, I'll not keep script name on here. I'll name it scaling, and I am putting this thing under scripts folder. I always put things under scenes under scenes folder and scripts under script folder, and I always use this thing. Sometimes I use this thing, not sometimes. When I was a beginner, I always use this thing because this tells what does the things do under written inside of the script. You don't need this thing now. I'll explain what the things will do under the script thing. And let's use no comment. It will not confuse you in anything. And let's create under this part. Let's see, is everything all right? And if you are using a rigid body, it should write here that it is a rigid body, I mean it should write rigid body inside of this inherits box. The node you will use, its name will be right here, not actually name, the type of the name of the type of your node. As I am using a sprite node, it is written that it is a sprite class. So let's not talk about this anymore. Let's create. By clicking create, it will take you to the another mode that is called script. There are actually several modes, and this is, you can call this thing a mode. This is actually, you will need internet for this. I of course have internet, but yet I'll not show you about what is that thing. This is 2D mode, where you can go around in 2 axis, and 3D is a little more complex, where you can go around in 3 axes. But the thing is not to cover in here. The 3D thing is not to cover in here. We'll just work in 2D and script in this game, sorry, in this tutorial. So what this ready thing does, I explained it several times to you guys in other what called in other game projects or tutorials, but then also I am describing about this thing because who didn't view my later videos or also didn't also is a beginner, he will not understand these things. So I am explaining this again. So this ready, what this ready thing does, the things written downside with a little space, downside of with the things written downside of this ready will be applied only once when the game starts, and it will actually, you saw in inherits, it's the sprite class, that if you would write their rigid body, so it would say extends rigid body and show an error when we run this thing, because this node is not a rigid body, it is a sprite. As this is written sprite here, if we run this thing, as this is also a sprite node, the thing we are running will actually show no problems. And okay, that's, I think you'll understand. I didn't show you what is this thing actually. This is actually a node called sprite. I can't explain it on here because the video will be get too longer in this. Yeah, you can see. Actually, what is this pass doing? When nothing is written under a function, this is actually, this func is actually function, and this is the name of the function we are using, ready. And what I was trying to say, oh, if you don't write something under a function, Godot will show an error that there is nothing written in here. You need to of course write something. If you write here some nothing, so Godot will not understand what you are trying to do with this function. It will show an error. If you write pass, Godot will say that okay, this function will not use anything actually. So Godot with this pass, Godot is actually knowing that we are trying to do something with it, and that is nothing. Sounds a little funny, but let's read this and scale up it. There are two ways to scale this thing up. The first way I always use is like, wait, I am explaining this thing like this. Oh, not semicolon, not like unity. Scale y is equals to 2, and actually if you would write without of these things, if you would write only scale equals to 2, you know, in a human will understand that it should scale up in both x and y into 2, but actually a computer will not understand that you are trying to say to the computer that you want to increase this both x and y into 2. So if it would be like that, it would be better if computer would understand something like this. And you can see this is showing an error under line 4. This 4 means this line 4 actually, and that is the assigned values type. It is not the main thing. It is not showing the right thing. Okay, I'm actually explaining in another way, but the thing is, if you put something like dot x, the computer will understand that you want this transform properties scales x to be 2. If you put here y, so computer will realize that, oh, the person is wanted to scale uh, uh, set the number to the y of this scale property. If you would write position here, so it would not set this scales thing, it would set the y of position on here, you can see, and to number 2. But if you write here scale dot y, so it should first initialize the scale and then see if that has something like y. You can see it has a y, so computer will say that, oh, here is a y, so what to set? The thing he need to set is this 2 on here. So what it will do, it will increase this thing to this y to 2. And what will happen if this increases to y, increases to 2? I'll show you like this. It will happen. Now even if you set here 1, now let's save it, then Godot will actually even then also take this script number 2 to here when we start the game. You can see it scale up like this, but you can here see it is not scaled up in 2, it is scaled up 1 like before, but in running game it scaled up to 2 and behaving like this even if this is 1, because we have written here to tell Godot that we want this y of scale to set to 2 when we are running the game. That's actually the about scale y. But what if you want to set the scale of x, I mean this x of this scale to any number? To do that, you just do the same as you did with y. Scale x of scale it with this dot, this is remaining that this is the x of scale. If you only write x, it can be x of position or x of scale. Godot will don't know which one to set up, but by writing scale in here after a dot with an x, computer will know that you are trying to initialize the x of the scale and then set it to 2 by the equal number. Now if you run this thing up, it will scale up to 2 and 2, and this is the x and this is the y. They are both scaled up to 2 and this is bigger than the normal picture. Anything you will put, any number you can put in after this equal. If you try 10, it will scale up to 10. If you try 15, anything, any number you can give. You can play around with this. You can see how bigger it got up. So actually, if you are a creative person, oh yeah, sorry, not that time. Now I tell you guys that there are two ways to scale up the scale. I forgot about the video about position. You can use the same way to the scale, but if you try vector 2 like this, if you are not familiar with vector math, it would be very hard to you, but then also I am trying to explain this. Actually, a vector 2 thing has two things. They are x and y. The x is before the comma and the y is after the comma. The number you will put, the vector 2 will get that number inside of this. If you put here 1, the x will be 1. If you put here 2, vector 2's x will be also 2. If you put any number after a comma, it will actually take the y to set the y of the vector 2 to that number. If you put here 1, the vector y of the vector 2 will be also 1. If you put here 2, the y of the vector 2 will be also 2. Any number you can get in here, not only the numbers I am using, but any kind of number without of using commas or extra symbols. Only use number after comma or before comma. The before comma I am saying again that it is x, and the after comma will be the y, and then it will see what scale has. The scale also has two things. They are x and y. I told you guys before also that about, and vector 2 will realize that scale also has that x and y, these two things. So if I match with my x and y with the scales x and y, will there be any problem? The answer is no. So it will put its x and y to scales x and y. So what with these numbers will happen now? You would know about that now, but then also I am explaining the x as the x of the vector 2 is 2, the x of scale will be 2 set to 2, and if as this is 1.5 in the y, the vector 2's y, so is with this equals the y of scale will be to 1.5. If you are confused with it, let's try with 1 and 1. I'll show you that it is normal first. Then if you want to increase this to up to down, so what you'll need to do to set it is to 2 like this, and then it will increase to up and down. If you change this y to 2, like it will happen like this, a taller, but the script will work for that. We don't need to put 2 on here, as we are trying to do this thing with script. Let's run, and you can see it set it up to 2, its scale. And if you put this to normal and set its x to 2, so you can see it increased its sides to left and right. you can play around with this. Now if you are a creative person, you would know about this, that it is all right. So that was all you need to know about. But if you are a creative person, you would know now how to go around with this scale and apply it to your games. Now let's think you want, I'm showing you an extra thing. Let's think you want to scale this up. What is this? Sorry. Scale this thing up to by time. So how to do that? I use this way to do this. Not all, I actually never tried it, but I know it will work. I am explaining it. Wait for a second. So now here you can see, I use decimal numbers. If you don't know what decimal numbers, it would be bad for you, because I can't explain here what decimal numbers do. It will take many times. A longer video will it take, and so I'm not explaining here about decimals. But what it will do is increase this x of the scale by 0.1. It will increase because of this plus equals number, but if you put here minus equals, it will actually decrease. I'm showing you what will happen if I put minus in here, but let's make you clear by experimenting this thing. You can see here, why? This should be process. Wait, I'm explaining this thing too. Process delta, and here the things you will put under this process delta function will be applied 60 times per second. 16 times, it would be many times, right? You would know it can be blurry sometimes. So what will happen, this scale x will be increased as 0.1 number 16 times per second. Let's show you that example. You can see it is increasing the x of this sprite left to right, increasing that x of the scale 16 times per second by this 0.1 number. The more bigger number you will put here, the more bigly it will increase the scale x of scale. Actually what happens, I haven't explained that yet, that what happens if you increase this thing, this x with 0.1. first it will be 0.1, a little increase, then that after that frame it will 0.2, a little increase. But if you stay increasing this, it would be 2, then also 3. So what happens, actually if you increase this x by 0.1, it will increase left to right, its sides will be increased to left to right by 0.1 number. Sorry, not 0.1, here there will be 1. So if this is increased, it will be increased to, the picture will increase its size in left to right, and when it will be increased, 16 times per second by this number. It will, the x of the scale, it means this x of this scale will be increased as 0.1 number because of this plus equals. Now what if you want to scale up the y as 0.1? Before that I want to say this, that you can put any number, You can give here 1 or 2, try any number you want, it will increase. If you put 1, it will speedily increase, you can see. But if you put 0.1, it increases slowly. Now to increase the y of scale, you can put here only y, and it will initialize y of scale. It means y of scale this y to one number. If you put 0.1, I would able to show you how speedily or lessly, I mean it, you can focus on the increasing of the y. So what will happen if you increase this y? I am explaining this because you can be confused if you are a beginner. If it is increased, so you can see it increases its sides to up to down. If you put 3 like this, now more bigger it will, the y of scale will get, the picture in up to down side will be increased that much. So as y is increasing by this number, the sprite is growing up to down. But what if you want both x and y to increase? So write like me, it will both plus equals 0.1. it will then apply these two things 6 times per second. And what if this thing applies 6 times per second? It will increase because of this plus equals number to 0.1. what will increase? This x will be increased as 0.1 number. And you know what about this, I told you about that. And what if this increases? So it will expand to left to right. I don't need to explain, I think, anymore about those things. I can show you by running what will happen. You can see it is increasing. I don't know why sometimes it slows down in my computer. It is now, everything is, I think, explained well. But what if you put minus here? If you put minus here, it will actually decrease its size. You can see how it decreased. Actually it also flipped on both x and y. I'm not explaining about that on here, but any later video I can explain about that. Actually, if these things is decreased, like you can see, if x decreased, so it sucks up means decreased its size in left to right. So if you decrease this number, that means it will be decreased to left to right. And the same with the y. The y of the scale will be decreased as 0.1 number because of this minus equals. So what happens if this y decreased? So if this is decreased, you can see it will actually decrease its size to up to down. So if you run this, you can see that's why it decreased fast, and it increased because of a reason. I can't explain it on here, but any later video I can explain about that. So I told you guys about how to scale up, and also saw an interesting thing that it increases its time up, and when the time increases up, this x and y scale also increases up, and because of that the object gets bigger. Now it's your time to play around with your projects and applying these things to your project. If this video is helpful, you can like it. If you need more videos, check out my channel. There you will find many videos which can help you in various ways. My next video can be very short or can be long, like this one. I can show you how to create or destroy game objects runtime, creating FPS, TPS character, plus many kind of tutorials I can upload next. You are also allowed to share this video. By sharing my videos, you are helping me to grow out this channel one step more. Also, if you are a beginner, so subscribing me would help you various ways, because by that you'll always get beginner friendly game development tutorials. I always upload videos explaining everything for beginners. So thanks for watching. To learn scaling a 2D object in Godot, we'll meet to the next video. Bye.